and welcome to the sidelines of the Pondi Literature Festival 2022. My guest this afternoon is Shri Prabal Pratap Singh Judev of the Royal Family of Jashpur, and he is also Secretary at BJP Chhattisgarh. There is a very specific reason why I mentioned the Royal Family, because we will start this conversation by talking about his father and his treatment of Prabal of the tribals of the area. So, Prabalji, can you please start telling us about your father and his work, and at what point did he notice that conversion was an issue in his area, and why he thought it was necessary to initiate a Prabal movement, and what it was exactly that was alienating the tribals because of the conversion?
Namaskar, it's a great honor to be here in Pondicherry for the Little Fest. Tribals of Chhattisgarh and my family, we always had mutual respect for each other. And we are honored and privileged to be a part of such a rich place full of good tribal. My father noticed that these Christian missionaries were converting them, taking them away from their historical heritage and culture. They were becoming anti-nationals. And these missionaries were luring them in the name of education and health, and by feeding them anti-Hindu negative messages, and also doing a lot of Chengri Sabhas, miraculous recoveries. So they got attracted to this system and they started converting them. So my father also realized that there was a lot of untouchability things, and a lot of discrimination in Hindu system. So he found a way to connect with these people by washing their feet, and setting an example that if you can wash their feet and bring them back to the Hindu fold, other Hindus should do the same and kind of appreciate and cut all the barriers of untouchability and differences, so all the Hindus are united. And he started this Ghar Wapsi movement by washing the feet. It's a unique way. The Shuddhikaran movement was there since before. My father, Prabal Pratap Singh Judev, started Ghar Wapsi movement by washing feet of tribals and Dalits, so he could set an example that all the Hindus are same, there is no inequality.
So, usually when we talk of Ghar Wapsi with Hindus, there is always the question of caste and reinsertion, and it is perceived that even if they are willing to come back, the stigma of having converted prior remains, and therefore the reinsertion and the allotment of caste becomes an issue. How did he overcome the problem, and what has been your experience? Have you faced such problems with reintegration?
My father initiated the Ghar Wapsi with a lot of rituals, a lot of puja, months, and yajnas. So, if a Hindu of whatever caste was converted, if he wanted to come back, he came back to the same caste, and mostly the most important thing is he was welcomed back to Hinduism, and the society accepted that person no matter what caste he belonged, because of all the rituals and all the Shuddhikaran process and yajnas. And people have questioned me also, but I never faced any problems. Once we wash their feet and we do all the puja and yajna, Hindus were before Hindus become Hindus.
You know, one of the things that is told to us and we learn is that the British came to India with the intention of economic interest, and then of course they had the government, it was directly under the crown, but it was still always a colonial exploitative movement economically. How do you think your experience with Chhattisgarh explains the fact, or can you throw light on whether the British had a missionary arm to their economic activity and governing activity? Can you establish from your experience if such a thing existed?
Absolutely. I believe that the Britishers, they knew to connect with the people and to extend their business empire. They had to conquer the people in themselves from inside. So the best way to do it is to convert them. Like in Hindi, it's like Dharmantran hi Rashtrantran hai. Once they were converted, they were easily manipulated and the British could do whatever they can. I experience this pretty much everywhere I go. These missionaries do Seva ke naam pe sauda. These missionaries tell the tribals that they will give them education, they will give them health, and they will also offer them money. But tribals have to become Christians. I think this is wrong. If they want to do good things, do it for the humanity. Why are you converting them to Christians? This is wrong. This is called Seva ke naam pe sauda. This is bad. They are making a deal. That should not be done.
This is just a question of detail. Predominantly, is it Catholic or Protestant, or they both exist, and are both the denominations active in the area?
They both are active, but Roman Catholic missionaries take more aggressively into conversion. They are active.
So, does the church directly, from the beginning, has the church directly been doing this activity, setting up a chapel maybe and a father and preaching, or do they use the NGO arm? And if they do use the NGO arm, what is the methodology of penetration in the name of development? Do they use the non-government sector and the funding that comes therein to propagate this work in the name of development?
A lot of the fundings has been stopped by the central government. That is a good thing. But still, these missionaries, they get funding from somewhere. And of course, the NGOs are being used. They are paid and well-trained social workers for this purpose. And they focus on people who are economically challenged. So they can manipulate them, they can use them. I think this Corona time, where people were very weak economically, they used it and converted them in huge numbers.
So the FCRA regulations have stopped funding, but you say that there has been a method by which the funding has been rerouted?
A lot of them have been stopped, a lot of them have been checked, but still these missionaries are able to get the funds. I think there should be a big, investigation for it.
So traditionally Chhattisgarh falls within this infamous red corridor of the Maoist activity, So, and we have had extremely unfortunate incidents of our paramilitary forces getting blown off by mines, and extremely disturbing. So, is there a direct linkage between conversion, Christianity, funding, and the Maoists?
I believe so. A few years back, the Superintendent of Police of Bastar, Mr. Sunil Kumar, he wrote a letter to Bhupesh Baghel, Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, about the risk of this conversion things that's been going on and the violence that it will cause. But the Congress government didn't pay any attention. And Ramvichar Netam, the Rajya Sabha MP, the tribal MP, he raised this issue also, that the conversion were taking place and nobody did anything about it. I think the missionaries tend to use the Maoists as their shield. Wherever these Maoist activities are going on, the governments get distracted and the missionaries get a safe haven to work and get their conversion into the deep levels of tribal society. And I've noticed wherever the conversion is in big numbers, the Maoist activities have increased.
So there has been a government change in Chhattisgarh, and what has been the situation since? Is there been an increase in Maoist activity because, and then therefore an increase in conversion activity? I think you remarked once that conversion was happening at an alarming rate, and it was not only targeting tribals but even other echelons of human societies. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The Maoists have been there for a long time. Even in the BJP government, they were active, but they were on a check. Dr. Raman Singh, I think, did a good job. But since the Congress government has come to power, Congress has always encouraged conversion. The Tushti-karan ki rajniti, the appeasement politics is the main tool. And now the conversion, not only to the tribals, is going on, but other sects of the societies are also getting converted, which is a matter of great concern.
So, when we talk of tribals, there is always the issue of should they be brought into the national fold, mainstream, or in the effort to protect their indigenous, unique lifestyle, should they be left alone? And I think one of the policies of the leftists is to retard development by saying that any intervention that we may do is going to disturb the balance and the pristine nature of their lifestyle, and therefore I think they are retarded in their development, infrastructure, school, roads, etc. And that I think is very fertile ground for conversions. So what is your opinion of, and what is your ideal model of tribal development? What should be the intervention model so that, first of all, do you want modernity to reach them? And if so, in what specific customized way?
Absolutely. I want the tribals to move forward. The way I look at it is the world is changing. Things are getting modern. Technology is taking over a lot of things. I think the tribal community should also move forward. They should advance. But at the same time, they should not lose their cultural heritage. It should go both hand in hand. And I think it would be a great thing if they can maintain their culture, heritage, and their roots, and also move forward technologically, which I think the Modi government is helping them do a lot. And they've created a lot of government societies to help them do this. I think it'll do a great if the cultural heritage is also kept intact at the same time. Economically, they move forward.
So let's talk about the Karvapsi itself now. How do you do it? I mean, do you do a counter propaganda or counter dissemination of information saying this is what is happening to you, this is not right? Do you need counter convincing? How does it happen? How have you convinced over the generations people to choose to come back to the Hindu fold?
I believe that once a person is converted, it could be tribal or anybody else, his whole sense of nationality changes. His thought process has changed. He loses his connectivity to the motherland, and it creates a lot of disturbance. And if this happens in huge numbers, it's a major matter of concern. Like in Hindi it says, Dharmantran hi Rashtrantran. I think it's a national security matter. Conversion should be stopped. And this conversion by any methods should be put on check. And I think people are realizing that have been converted, that they have made mistakes. That's why they contact our organization. And we, by their help, we arranged the Karvapsi movement. We welcome back by washing their feet and welcoming back to the Hindu fold. That's a great process.
So you're actually saying that they themselves realize after a point
Absolutely.
that they want to come back. Is it because they are dissatisfied spiritually, or is it because materially what has been promised to them hasn't met their expectation? What is it that really makes them want to come back?
Both. Once they contact us, people who have been converted, they contact us because I think they experience that the promises they were made spiritually and money-wise, the promises were all false, they were all created, and they want to connect back to their roots. That's why they contact us and we do the rest.
So now you tell us something about the work on the listing bill. What is it about? Why did you have to do it? What was being exploited in the name of conversion, and why this bill had to come about?
The delisting bill is a process where this word comes to Christianity, in which somebody who has changed their religion from Hindu has become Christian or any other religion, but has still maintained the tradition of being Hindu. So they have disguised themselves just to avail the benefits of the governments. People cannot make difference. And it's a Supreme Court rule that if you maintain a tradition, be a tribal tradition, then they can still avail the government benefits. So they become Christian also, but they follow the Hindu tradition, so they cannot be differentiated. The delisting bill is to make sure that these people who are doing this thing have to be taken out, and the benefits should go to the people who deserve it.
This just occurred to me that it's been decades since this work has gone on with your father, and now you're carrying on his legacy. Why do you think your model has not been replicated? Why is it that people don't feel the sense of urgency about this particular conversion that takes place in India? Do you think, us in the South, we realize it quite strongly that there are two forces that are deracinating our populations, and Christian conversion is a major force. There is no overt battle anymore. The era of the Crusades are long gone, but it is not negligible. We are actually losing village after village to conversions. So do you think that this threat perception of Christian conversion is a little mitigated and the reason why people do not really see it as something that needs to be done? Whereas your father noticed this decades ago.
Absolutely. I think Hindus needs to wake up, all Hindus, especially the young generation. They need to know the seriousness about conversions. Here in Tamil Nadu, and this big news about Lavanya, who child committed suicide. These are alarming issues. These things are happening. And the sooner the Hindus and the young generation realize, the better it will be. Conversion is a matter of national security. I think it should people check. And the sooner the better. My father realized it a long time ago. And I think it's not a responsibility for one particular person or one particular organization. It's a responsibility for every Hindu. They need to stand up for the religion and for the country.
You and I and most of us will not think twice before calling tribal a Hindu. For us, there is no dichotomy in our heads. And yet, it has been the refrain of the leftists, especially their mindset that the tribal is not Hindu. The tribal gods are not Hindu gods. Even though, excellent books have been written on the subject, and there has been, enough documentation on the subject. What is your personal experience, and how would you comment on the subject? Would you refute it? Would you say that, do you see continuity in tribals and Hindus? Would you make a difference? Do you have a dichotomy? How do you see this problem?
I believe the tribals were actually the first Hindus. The tribals worship nature. Hinduism says you find God in everything. God's mountains, trees. In every aspect of nature, you find God. Tribals worship Buddhadev, which I think is Shivji, Ramdev, and all concepts of tribal connectivity, nature, has to do with Hinduism. And I believe the tribals were the first Hindus, and whoever is saying this, tribals are not Hindus, and is creating a difference, and it's not true.
So to conclude our last part, I would like to ask you this. We recently elected Shrimati Draupadi Murmu as our president. In my view, to me, she is just a deserving candidate. But I know, and who has risen by the work she has done, and but I understand that her tribal identity is important. But in an ideal world, especially in a democracy like India, it is her work that has brought her where she is. Irrespective, ideally, of what ethnic background she is. To me, honestly, it's unfortunate that that identity of hers has been made to be visible. But even so, I also believe that symbolism is very, very important. So, her election as the President of India, what has it meant to the community?
I think it's a great message. It is saying that a tribal lady coming from such a background can come up to India's highest position. That is saying that India gives opportunity to everyone who deserves it. You just have to work hard and true to be your culture, your heritage. And I think it's a great message. And she being a tribal, she being a Hindu, sends even a stronger message. Everybody is equal, and Hinduism teaches that the whole world is family. It's a great message, and for the future generation, it will inspire them further.
Have you got a reaction from your people, from people you're close to?
Absolutely. I belong to a tribal land. People are happy, they're positive. There's huge celebration, and everybody's happy.
That's very good to hear. So with that, we conclude this interview with Shri Prabal ji. And thank you so much for the work you do. I realize how important it is. I am not at all complacent about the act of conversion and what it is doing to our people. I think each one in our own way should wake up to this reality and work towards it. And huge respect and homage to your father for the work he initiated. And thank you so much for continuing his legacy, and thank you so much for speaking to Congress.